Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds. Welcome to the second episode of the horizontal hive being treated with Apiguard Thymol. I have some updates to give you, things I want to show and share with you. And if you haven't seen the first video and would like to, I'm going to leave that link right up here. So this colony had a 1.4% infestation rate. Here's a picture of where we counted the bees and we also counted the mites. That alcohol wash unit in the first video, though it did leak a lot of the alcohol out, did give us a very accurate count. We went through all the bees and there were still only 5 mites in there, so it did a good job getting us a nice accurate count. However, I didn't like the leaking of the alcohol, and it took a good bit of time to do this. It's very similar to what we're doing with the experimental yard. It takes so much more time to do the experimental yard. We're working on getting kind of all that put together nicely for you. When you're using Apiguard, a lot depends on the temperature. Make sure you read the instructions and follow them how you best see fit. However, we've used it for years a little bit differently than what they say, and I like the results that we get. Oftentimes, if it's very hot, we use a 30 milliliter dose once a week for 3 weeks and then see how we are. You can go longer than that, and that's part of their instructions. But sometimes, like right now when the weather is cool enough where it's in the low 80s, I'm going to go ahead and give them the 50 milliliter dose, and I'm going to do it 10 days apart. Now they recommend doing it 2 weeks apart. So I've heard so many different ways of applying this. I think a lot depends on infestation and a lot of other things, but that's why these alcohol washes are so important. A lot of people, why would you do that? You're still treating anyways. Just treat. A lot of these products aren't very well tested outside of their own testing, and honestly they're the ones selling the product, so that's why I really like doing the testing myself. I always learn a lot from it. Okay, now let's get in this hive and treat. And oh, this right here was about 30 yards from the hive. A bee or two had picked that up and hauled it way over there. It's really impressive how a strong colony can move that away. And before I forget, well, there's some of those ants again. There was about a handful of dead pupae/larvae at the front of the entrance during the treatment. For the first several days, you could smell thymol all the way out to here. It was pretty strong. Now, 10 days removed, I don't smell any at all. And that little bit of brood loss, I think, is pretty normal. The temperature thresholds weren't too high. I just wonder sometimes if some nurse bees are getting into it and then touching some larvae or something right as they're getting capped, or the ones that are really close to it maybe get a little too high of a dose. I don't know what it is, but a little bit of brood loss can be normal. Alright, so we're going to get in and drop it just like we did last time. And I'm anxious to come back a couple weeks from now and do the final video, as long as it did a good job, and see how the alcohol wash comes out, as far as hopefully there's not very many mites in there. You're thinking a 1.4% infestation is not that big of a deal. Well, we still have a couple months of brood rearing, and what you're seeing is what's available. It's not what's in the capped brood. Well, now that I've lifted that up, I can smell some thymol still, so it's still in here a little bit. It is, for sure. But hopefully this next treatment, we're going to come back and do an alcohol wash a couple weeks after this treatment. And hopefully we will be well below 1%. I don't like to go into winter with any more than 1% infestation rate. And we got a ways to go before winter, so you know what? I don't recommend you do this during a treatment disturbing the cluster, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. These bees are really gentle. I'm really pleased because I haven't smoked them. I don't even have a smoker going. But I'm just curious to see what the brood is going to look like in this hive. So that's just a food frame right there. So I'm not seeing anything. Let's go a frame over. Again, I don't recommend you do this. I'm just trying to learn a little bit right here and maybe share a little bit with you. And there's no brood in this frame as well. There's the queen though. She's up there looking around the lay. And I just wonder if this Apiguard has shut her down. Not seeing anything on this frame. So the queen's here. We're going to go one more frame over. And let us see if there's much in the way of brood. Wow, okay. I don't know if you can see down into that, but there is tons of gorgeous brood in there. Here, let's get the light. I don't know if you can see that, but it is full of healthy brood. So it probably has slowed the queen down quite a bit. It looks like it has. I think it has anyways. But that's okay. That can compound the effectiveness of the treatment. Now you're wondering, Kamon, why are you doing it 10 days later? I feel like there's hardly any drones right now in my colonies. There is a few and some, but I think the more that I've gone to carnies, the less drones I have this time of the year. Italians really push and push. The carnies don't seem to be that way. It's a problem if you're trying to raise a lot of queens late in the season. I'm not trying to do that at all. And I believe that we just need to kill the mites as good as possible right now. If we're going by the worker brood cycle, then if we can cover that 21 days with these two treatments, then it should do a very good job. Again, we're going to have to take it out of this tray so it'll be effective. You can see they did a really good job removing all that Apiguard out of there. Not only the Apiguard, they tore that card apart and within 10 days had it all out of there. So here we go one more time. I'm going to put it over here a little more centered around that brood. That's where the mites are going to be. And we're just going to scoop this on out. And I'm sure these bees are thrilled that the hive's going to smell like Listerine for another 10 days. It is interesting. A lot of people get very heated about treatments and the things that they can do and how evil they are for the colony. The reality of it is there's a lot of Thymol products that are very safe to use for humans and for plants, pest control, all kinds of things. Dosage is really important. Oxalic acid is in almost everything that we eat. It's very common. Honestly, we need to eat more foods that have oxalic acid in them. Not saying you need more oxalic acid in your diet, but your leafy greens are really important for the human diet. Very good for your gut, and has a lot of oxalic acid in many of them, in comparison to other foods that we eat that are junky. All right, I'll get off my healthy soapbox right there. There's another treatment. I hope that here in a couple weeks we can show you the end result, and that instead of 1.4% infestation, maybe we can get a 0 or maybe a 0.5% infestation. That's what we're going for. Thanks for watching this video. I'm excited to see how this colony does, how it goes through winter, and see what we can do next year as far as splits and honey production. Thanks for watching.